The film opens with a concerned mother named Mallory, firmly telling her kids to keep their eyes closed and follow her lead at all times. Mallory has shut all the entrances and windows of the house, hinting at some kind of external threat. Mallory puts her children in blindfolds and does the same to herself to presumably prevent them from the threat. Before leaving the house, Mallory transfers her birds into a box and leaves. Outside, she had previously tied a string from her house all the way down to the river stream. Mallory and her kids use the string as a guide to make their way into the woods, from where they reach the stream. Mallory had hidden a rowing boat in the weeds beforehand, so she presently takes it out and rows down the stream to escape with her kids. The scene suddenly goes into a flashback from 3 years earlier, in which we see Mallory pregnant with her first child. In the flashback, she has socially distanced herself from everyone so she can pursue her passion for painting. Her sister Jessica arrives at her place and urges her to watch the news to see what is happening out there. The news report says that people are dying all over the world due to an unexplained plague. The world is on the verge of collapse, and havoc is wreaked across the globe as a result. Unlike others, Mallory doesn't believe in supernatural occurrences, so she tells Jessica that there must be a logical and factual explanation behind all this. Soon after their conversation, Jessica takes Mallory to the hospital for her ultrasound appointment. After dealing with all of Mallory's miscarriages, the doctor encourages Mallory to seek other options to have children, such as adoption, if she miscarries this time. Mallory agrees and takes off for home. Before that, she heads to the bathroom and vomits, which is common in pregnancy. Jessica comes to check up on her, but Mallory sends her away. When she gets out on her own and makes her way to the exit door, she witnesses a woman vigorously smashing her head against the glass until it bleeds. That woman gives Mallory the death stare, which creeps her out. She rushes out of the hospital immediately and regroups with Jessica in her car, and in a state of panic, she tells her about what she just witnessed at the hospital. Now, Mallory finally believes in the plague and observes that it is triggering involuntary actions in people and is causing them to kill themselves. All of a sudden, the plague strikes Jessica. She loses consciousness and starts speeding. Mallory becomes scared, so she tries to shake her out of her state. Jessica wants to stop, but she is unable to do so. She only expresses herself through her tears, hinting that she has no control over her actions now. She eventually causes a fatal crash, in which she dies, but Mallory miraculously survives. While she stands in horror, the plague starts striking the public. Everyone starts running around, blocking the streets and setting fire to their cars. Mallory falls to her stomach, so a woman intends to help her. The moment she comes near Mallory, she is struck with the plague. It prompts her to walk straight into the fire and kill herself. Among the chaotic crowd, a strong man named Tom picks Mallory up from the road and brings her to a house where some survivors are already taking shelter. Despite everyone having a different opinion and very little understanding about the plague, they initially decide to seal all entrances of the house and prevent each other from looking outside. They hope they can prevent themselves from the plague if they cut themselves off from the rest of the world. The scenes return to the present timeline, in which we see Mallory rowing the boat for the past 6 hours. A constant blindfold can be damaging for the eyes, so she removes it and places a shroud over herself and the kids. While the kids sleep, Mallory tries to contact the outer world from her comm, but she doesn't get a response. Back in the past, we see Mallory surviving in the house among other survivors for an entire month. One day, a pregnant woman named Olympia arrives at their doorstep, begging to be let in and shown mercy. Mallory is quick to take out her gun to deal with her, but Tom calms her down and lets Olympia in. According to the current situation, the survivors are low on food stock, so there are multiple disputes among them. Some of them urge each other to head out to collect some food, but no one agrees due to the unusual circumstances. The owner of the house comes up with the idea of looking outside through security camera footage. Before testing this theory, he asks other survivors to tie him up to his chair so he can't harm himself in case the plague gets to him. They agree and leave him at his whim. While they wait for him outside, he gets the plague through the screen and deliberately falls to the ground to bash his head against the floor until he dies. The other survivors become hopeless about heading out. They realize that they might die of starvation, if not by the plague, so they start finding a way to access the nearest grocery store. Mallory walks around the house and befriends another pregnant woman named Olympia, who is emotionally distressed. Back in the present timeline, Mallory and her kids get ambushed by a mysterious man in the stream, who urges them to remove their blindfolds. Desperate to survive, Mallory sees the man as a potential threat and stabs him to death when he tries to get his hands on him. In the past timeline, Mallory and some lead survivors find a car in the house. They cover the car windows with black paper and tape to prevent themselves from seeing the outside world. They solely rely on GPS to navigate their path. They successfully make it to the nearest grocery store, where they immediately lower the blinds on the windows and start browsing the aisles. Just as they're filling their carts, Mallory finds a cage with some exotic birds trapped in it. She gets a positive vibe from them, so she keeps them. Suddenly, an unknown man tries to come out of the store's freezer. Everyone immediately finds different means to cover their eyes before interacting with him. The man speaks well and wishes to be let out of the freezer, but Mallory's birds start acting up as if they can sense the plague. This helps them realize that he is one of the nut job cases, so they use physical force to keep him locked in the freezer. The man becomes aggressive and manages to come out of there. One of their group members sacrifices himself to push the plagued man back into the freezer. Now devastated by his death, the rest of the group returns home with groceries and the birds. Everyone gets along that day. At night, Mallory strikes up a conversation with Douglas in the kitchen, during which Tom notices the absence of young lovers, Lucy and Felix. He notifies Douglas and Mallory about it. Together, they head to the garage and find their car stolen by Lucy and Felix. Once again, the scenes return to the present timeline, in which Mallory's boat gets struck by a broken vehicle front floating in the stream. Her boat topples, and her son falls into the river. But Mallory quickly rescues him. She reaches the shore at one point. She keeps her blindfold on and finds a medical bunker. She uses the string to guard herself and starts collecting necessary supplies. She senses that she is being followed, so she takes out a gun and heads outside. She keeps tripping and falling, but doesn't come in contact with anyone. On the other hand, her daughter feels her long absence and decides to come to the island and look for her. Keeping herself tied to the boat, she heads towards the medical bunker, but Mallory finds her first and brings her back to the boat. In the past, Mallory is seen getting closer to Tom, who is ready to raise her child together, whereas in the present, Mallory is seen alone and cut off from the world. We are told that she has been on the boat with her kids for over 28 hours now. In the past, Olympia lets in a stranger named Gary, so Mallory and Douglas strictly inspect him. They decide to detain him downstairs and send Mallory and Olympia upstairs to give birth. In the present, Mallory prepares the kids for rafting in the harsh waters. In the past, Mallory and Olympia went into labor together. When everyone tends to them, Gary starts looking at weird sketches and removing the blinds from the windows to expose everyone to the plague. Mallory gives birth to a boy, and Olympia gives birth to a girl. Gary enters their room and exposes them to the plague as well. An old woman tries to stop him, but she gets exposed to the plague in the process and dies. Gary comes to harm Mallory, but Tom charges at Gary and kills him.
It is beautiful. I'm sorry.
Everyone else dies because of the plague, except Tom, Mallory, and the kids. Now, as time progresses, Mallory raises Olympia's daughter as her own and teaches both kids survival skills, according to times like these. One day, she leaves Tom with the kids and raids a nearby house, blindfolded. She gets some medicine and necessary supplies. Suddenly 2 cars stop by the house. Strangely, the cars leave right away, allowing Mallory to return to Tom and the kids. That day, she makes love with Tom and shares her bed with him. The next morning, they are woken up by a man's voice on their comm, assuring them of a safe haven for the survivors, where they have plenty of food. Tom gives this a thought and checks the map to reach there through the safest route, which is by the river. Hence, they start building a rowing boat. During this period, they run short on food. Tom insists on raiding a house along with the kids. After a minor disagreement, Mallory takes the kids out for the first time. They get to eat food, while Mallory collects necessities. Suddenly, some nut jobs arrive outside that house. The plague works differently with them, allowing them to kill others instead of themselves. Tom forces Mallory to leave with the kids and stays back to deal with them. Amidst their battle,
They're coming.
Tom's blindfold is removed. Before losing his consciousness to the plague, Tom manages to shoot down the nut jobs. He then shoots himself to protect Mallory. When Tom doesn't return, Mallory accepts that he's gone and moves on to find the safe haven with the kids. Which brings us to the present timeline. She finally goes rafting in the harsh waters. During which she gets separated from Olympia's daughter. After struggling, she makes it to the island where the safe haven was promised. The place is guarded by a man who tests Mallory and her kids. Mallory hears the man try to manipulate the kids into removing their blindfolds. She rushes to save them but trips and falls instead. She eventually faints too. When she wakes up, she saves her kids from the man and runs away from there. She eventually reaches the safe haven that she once doubted and didn't want to go to. As the people welcome her and the kids to their haven, the film ends.
Thanks for watching the video. Please don't forget to like and subscribe for more movie recaps like that.